allow me to stand up and make my talk become stronger, I think. First of all, it is very interesting. Gangga Dahal, show us about numbers of the forest owned by indigenous communities / local communities, and the number is 0. 0. Yeah. Time by time, the number is consistent. 0. So, as a person who move around to the rural area, especially visit the indigenous communities, I asked some indigenous leaders about who own this forest. And they, of course, they say, we are here, we are the owner of the customary territory, and the state come later to us. Okay? So, the question is how the Indonesian government has no data on it. And then, later, Dr. Gangga Dahal exposed the number is 0. Because the Indonesian government has no data, and the customary territory and the owner of the customary territory has been invisible. The invisibility is the key here. Why? They are invisible. Because in the law number 49, 1999, and the previous law, number 5, 1967, and in the previous laws, in the Forest Law 1865, in the colonial times, the customary territory has been categorized as state-owned land, state-owned forest. So based on that categorizations, the central governments, the authorities, has legal authority to allocate the state land, state forest to somebody else, to the forest agency, to the plantation, to the mining companies, and so on and so forth. So, the problem is when you are, as the Constitutional Court judge, and got a request from indigenous community, from the organization named AMAN, Aliansi Masyarakat Nusantara, that, request the Constitutional Court to test the constitutionality of this ownership status of the customary territory. What decision you will make? So, my presentation is about that, about a post-colonial decisions made by Constitutional Court. Go ahead. Hello. Yeah. So, this is structure of my presentation, and go on. And don't confuse with number. The number, the Constitutional Court ruling's number is number 35, PUU / 2012. 2012 is the number when they registered the request to the Constitutional Court. But the decision was released 16 May last year, 2013. So, the court made a decision because of the request by AMAN, right? And the decision was, there are some articles within the forestry law are unconstitutional. We only have few experience as a nation that the practice of the Indonesian government based on a particular article of law were defined as unconstitutional. After the long period of the land grabbing, this is the term from the victim side or from the activists, they call it land grabbing. Yeah. From the long land grabbing, now we realize, wow, constitutionally wrong. to us. So when I got, read the rulings, I thought, wow, what the state is this? The largest, the largest state landholder in Indonesia, which is the Ministry of Forestry, did something wrong constitutionally since the beginning. So, as a citizen, I was shaken when I read that. I had, the state that did something wrong inconstitutionally. What should we do with that? Go on, please. And of course, we can learn academically about the articles. I cannot go in detail because of the time. And go on, please. And when I asked the judge, this one of the judge, he was retired now, and I asked why you decide so, why you made the Indonesian state so badly, in my view. And they said, this is the time to do correction. In my term, this is what they call it as undoing discriminatory category embedded in Indonesian national law. I repeat it again. This is undoing against the discriminatory category embedded in Indonesian national law. Unfortunately, we don't have in Bahasa Indonesia the term for undoing. Tell me. We don't have it. I am a person who works with a publishing company, and I have the term for that. We call it ralan. But not in the legal literature. We don't have it. So he said that, look at that. When such defective laws, including the forestry law, are enforced, it will create social injustices. Enforcing such defective natural resource laws will endanger the existence of indigenous communities who are vulnerable to be excluded by those who have power in the name of the state or by permission of the state institution. Well, I go deeply, as I introduced that, but I'm dramatizing it. Okay? I'm dramatizing it. In order to make this sense, it's not light. No, this is not light. This is heavy. Okay, go on. So, why is this heavy? Because there are so many what I call systemic land conflict everywhere. Yeah? Pak Bupati, probably if you sit on the table in your office, you cannot find the conflict. I have 5 minutes. Yeah. But over there are so many land conflicts. That's important that to realize that the conflict is structural, the conflict is widespread. Go on. And how we understand the court ruling if we have an understanding about this systemic land conflict. Go on. So this is my argument. Yeah. The ruling has provided an opportunity to fix the status of Indonesian indigenous communities as right-bearing subject and the owner of their customary territory, which would be a popular move. That's my first argument. In the ruling, if you read it, there is a new term that was introduced. Never been has an official term. If you go to glossarium of the Indonesian law, you can have it, this one. The term is penyandang hak. We have the term penyandang cacat. Yeah? If somebody has accident and then he cannot walk except by some instrument, probably she or he was called penyandang cacat. Or if I buy, I have some money to give money and then made the people to demonstrate in front of your office, that I was called as penyandang dana of the demonstration, right? But for the right-bearing subject, for the penyandang hak, we don't have it. And the indigenous community, masyarakat adat, was not categorized as right-bearing subject. They are not penyandang hak. And the Constitutional Court ruling made a bold statement that the masyarakat hukum adat is penyandang hak. They are the owner of the customary territory. So the ruling at the same time has opened up the possibility for changing the trajectory of systemic agrarian conflicts, which are chronic and widespread in Indonesian archipelago. So the conflict will change. Go on. I will move fast, and please speak fastly. This is the conflict. We know that, from the plantation concession, from the forest concession, mining concession, conservation concession, transmigration, they will change the property relation, land use, and local livelihood. Go on. And of course, the production is different because there's change of the commodity supply for the world export, for the commodity consumption, and so on, including for keeping environmental services intact. Go on. So Aman, I don't want to tell about Aman more, but we know that Aman played a big role in submitting the judicial review to the court. And why Aman did that? Because Aman has no understanding about the politics that, adjustment politics. No. Aman did something radical here to put the Indonesian Constitution work to review the Indonesian national law, which is the Forest Law number 41, 1999. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. This is the post-colonial, what I call as a post-colonial territorialization of state control over forests. And it started since 1865, when the Undang-Undang Kehutanan Jawa dan Madura made a statement that the whole forest territory are owned by the state. And then, because of that, there is establishment of the boundaries. And because of the establishment of boundaries, they create some kind of functional territorialization. This is for the conservation, this is for production, this is for blah, blah, blah. And then, state institutions create the license. And then when somebody like the perusahaan HTI has a license, they have to create from the license become concession. From the paper become territorial control. And then when they found there's a community within it, they have to kick them out. Yeah, of course, and it's violently. And there's a government regulation that says that in 1980s, like similar like that. If the constitutional concession holder find communities within or surrounded the area, they have to an authority to make it become discipline and make it become under the control to make it this concession works. Go on. So the conflict is everywhere. Go. And this is the thing. When I learn about it and deeply thinking theoretically, I come into this conclusion that every kind of struggle for social justice has to deal with the discriminatory category. We have to change that category. And this is the purpose of the social movement. And because the categorical distinction, that's something that makes the inequality durable. And this is final word. How to make the inequality not continue anymore, and later, next year after the new president was elected, probably the number, Dr. Ganggadal, the number will change from 0 to you can feel it. Thank you very much.